Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live webcast of New Shepard's 13th flight to space. I'm Caitlin Dietrich, and I'm joined by my co-host, my buddy Joel Eby here.
Hello, Caitlin.
Hey, Joel.
Thanks for having me. As the resident creative at Blue Origin, I'm usually on the other side of the camera, but I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, that's right. And Joel, we're gonna love seeing a lot of your designs fly to space today. You can thank
Yeah.
Joel for that big, beautiful feather on our rocket. And of course, we're here in front of our Blue Moon lunar lander in our Kent, Washington headquarters. As you can see, it's very fitting because this mission is all about testing technology to land on the moon.
That's right. And as you can see, Caitlin and I are being very safe today with our divider here. And everyone on the mission is following
safe.
very strict guidance to mitigate any kind of COVID-19 related risks. Down in West Texas, we have essential mission crew only for the mission, and that's why we're here on WebEx today. Hopefully no technical issues today with the broadcast. Knock
on wood for us, for sure. And the team has done a great job getting the rocket ready. We took some extra time, which is always a great idea, to make sure we're good to go today, and everything's looking great for launch. And to open things up, we wanted to play a special message from our CEO, Bob Smith, who I caught up with earlier in West Texas. So let's roll it. Hi, Bob. Welcome to the webcast from West Texas. How's it going down there?
Thanks. It's great. Down here in West Texas, we're in our Mission Control Center, getting very close to flight. This will be our 7th flight of this particular booster. So we're excited about that, as well as all the great experiments that we have flying on this for the first time.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we have 12 commercial payloads on board today, and one notably, of course, is our first experiment to ever fly on the booster. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, glad to. In addition to getting all the kind of experience that we want to go fly humans, which we're getting very close to doing, we've flown over 100 different payloads on New Shepard. This one is a little bit different in that we're actually going to be flying not only in the crew capsule, but also be flying actually on the booster itself. And in this case, we're going to be flying some lunar lander sensors, some sensors that give us some great understanding of how we do precision landing on the moon. This is something different than what we've had in Apollo, where they didn't have those technologies. Now we can land very closely and position things all in one area. So it's an exciting ability to use that New Shepard vehicle as a test bed, so it does many of the same things as what you see behind you there with a lunar lander. It's a great day for us to actually try that new type of experimentation on the outside of the booster.
So Bob, any final words for Team Blue as they prepare for launch?
Well, I'm looking forward to the launch. The team's well prepared. The vehicle's in really good shape. We look like we have really good weather, so we should be off and ready to go. So I'm excited about the next launch, and we'll talk to you after we get done.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck down there, and Godspeed, New Shepard.
Great. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you. Great to hear from Bob as always, and now let's get into today's launch. So on last launch, we flew our 100th payload. Congrats,
That's right.
Team Blue. That's a really big accomplishment. We're building on that manifest today with 12 commercial payloads, 8 of which are from NASA's Flight Opportunities Program. Most notably, we're testing precision lunar landing sensors on the New Shepard booster. So excited to see this experiment fly, Joel.
Incredible.
It's all part of the Tipping Point partnership with NASA, and also the first ever experiment to be mounted on our booster, as Bob said. So this represents an important step testing technology to land on the moon, as we're essentially using New Shepard to simulate a moon landing. How cool is that?
I love that. It's really cool. And of course, also true to our step-by-step kind of approach that we do here, today's launch also has a direct tie-in to our New Glenn program. And what we've done is actually we're installing a special kind of new heat shield on the aft portion of New Shepard that we're going to be testing for New Glenn flights in the future. So that's pretty cool. And we're going to look forward to seeing the results of that as well today.
Well, today is just a step-by-step flight. We're testing technologies for the moon, for Blue Moon, and testing technologies for New Glenn. What a great use of this suborbital platform.
That's right.
And we understand here from Mission Control that everything is looking green and go for launch. All right, we're getting excited. So why don't we go over the rest of our manifest of what's inside the capsule?
Awesome. Today we have a technology demo on board, Caitlin, from Space Lab Technologies called Micro G Lily Pond.
I love that name. That is a really cute name.
It's a really good name. They're going to be performing research that's going to optimize the future growth of plants in space without using soil. Very cool. We also have a payload that is reflying from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. And that payload is gonna help us to learn how to advance technology that's meant to keep electronics from overheating while in space.
I don't know about you, but that sounds really important.
Exactly.
Another one I think is really cool is called Bohr 2, or the Box of Rocks experiment.
That sounds
So if you're
great.
gonna use an acronym, make sure that it's a fun name. That's a new rule. They're testing a small, cheap device that could make samples or could take samples magnetically from near-Earth asteroids to test their composition. Super important for the future of resource utilization in space when millions of people are living and working there. Lots of different types of asteroids and materials out there we can use. And as Joel mentioned earlier, some of our customers today have been with us for several flights. Thank you so much for flying with us today again. Some are reflying, some have been with us for 3, 4, even 5 flights. And what they really say they love about New Shepard is it's a platform that you can easily iterate. You know, you can go fly again, either, you know, to advance your science or technology suborbitably or your commercial application, or you can take, you know, your testing that you do in suborbit all the way to the ISS or even on a planetary mission. So it's just a really great platform for that. All right, let's check out the clock here. We're at T-minus 23 minutes and 50 seconds. Weather in West Texas, we're hearing, is still great for launch today, which is awesome for those sensors. They need
That's
a clear day to really do their work. So let's go back to that key payload on today's launch, the lunar landing demo. So as we noted, it's the first experiment on a booster, and we wanted to show you a quick video to explain a little bit more about how the technology works from those brilliant engineers at NASA and Blue Origin working on it. So let's roll it.
Tipping Point is a payload that we've been working together between Blue Origin and NASA, so it's really interesting collaboration. It's tied into the work that we're doing in terms of getting NASA and America back to the moon.
So we're taking the best of NASA sensor developments across the agency, taking 1 or 2 commercial offerings, putting them on the propulsion module of New Shepard.
And what's really valuable with the propulsion module is coming all the way back from space and doing a propulsive landing, which is very akin to what we want to do with the lunar lander.
So we're replicating landing on the moon using New Shepard.
We've generated maps of West Texas and put them into the terrain relative navigation software, so it'll be navigating relative to that. And we'll also then get this range and range rate from the LiDARs that we can compare to our GPS data.
This tipping point flight is a great showcase of the propulsion module as an active testbed for landing sensors.
This is really the first time that we've put payloads right on top of the booster. It's going to be fully exposed to space.
We want a way to land on the moon regularly, autonomously, with higher precision.
We don't have GPS on the moon, and not only do we require that same information, we also need to do it with much higher precision than we did in the Apollo days. Their landing target was on the order of miles. Our landing target is 100 meters or less. While we're descending through the surface at fairly high altitude, we're going to use the terrain relative navigation, kind of like a GPS.
By comparing images taken from a high-resolution camera to images stored on the onboard computer, we can know where we are relative to the lunar surface.
Then I switch over at a few kilometers above the surface to the LiDARs that are then going to be giving me range and range rate directly to the surface. This is technology that's been matured by NASA for, in some cases, 10 to 15 years. And so through this partnership, we can take those technologies, demonstrate them with the idea of infusing them into our future products.
And this particular experiment is going to help NASA land on the lunar surface faster, safer, and repeatedly.
Huge props to the team at Blue. It's been working so hard to integrate this experiment.
No, absolutely. And this is such a great partnership between Blue Origin and NASA. And earlier, our very own field reporter on this launch, Ariane Cornell, caught up with NASA Administrator Bridenstine about the launch today and our next steps to go back to the moon, this time to stay. Let's check it out.
Well, hello, Administrator. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Why is going back to the moon so important?
Well, there's so much left to learn about the moon, and not just how much we can learn, but also what we can do from the moon that advances science. The moon represents heliophysics, the study of the sun, astrophysics, the study of deep space. It also represents planetary science. We need to go to the moon so that we can learn how to live and work on another world for long periods of time, because we have an agenda to get to Mars. And we're very excited about all of these opportunities.
Well, How are our commercial programs, suborbital programs like New Shepard, helping NASA achieve its missions?
It's critically important. So the way it's been for decades now is you have to go all the way to orbit the Earth. And of course, that's tremendously expensive to launch a rocket to the International Space Station, dock, and then do your experiments there. But if we could launch suborbitally and have maybe 5 to 10 minutes of microgravity where we can actually test technology and do training and do scientific experiments, and the fact that, we have these commercial providers like Blue Origin that can fly into suborbital space and help us test these technologies. It's an amazing relationship, and of course, critically important to accomplishing our mission.
Well, at Blue Origin, we have kids draw their visions for the future on postcards, and we're going to be flying those on New Shepard along with the other payloads. I'm curious, if you could draw on one of those postcards, what would you put? What is your vision for the future?
Well, I'll tell you this. I would. There's no question. I would draw my family. Most important thing in my life is my family. The challenge is I might have to draw them as stick figures. My artistic capabilities aren't quite there, but I would definitely put my family on a postcard and send them to space and dream about a future when humanity is going to be living off the Earth.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and thank you as always for your support.
It's been my pleasure, and let's go New Shepard. Let's get this mission accomplished and see what great things come from it.
You can just really see how passionate NASA is about going back to the moon, just like Team Blue. All of us bleed blue out there. And of course, inspiring the next generation who'll be carrying the torch, one of the most important things we can do here.
That's right. Ariane also was able to catch up with NASA's technical lead, Caitlin, for the experiment. His name is Dr. John Carson. Let's take a look at that conversation.
All right. Hello, John. It's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for flying with us on New Shepard.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to flying on New Shepard as well.
Why don't you walk us through your sensor experiment today and how it works?
So the system provides precise navigation information to a spacecraft that can be used for onboard that spacecraft for determining intelligent maneuvers that then can enable that spacecraft to land very precisely within the half the distance of a football field roughly to the location that spacecraft is targeting for landing. So the sensors include multiple LiDAR, which are laser-based sensors, a camera, as well as something known as an inertial measurement unit.
We're testing this for lunar missions. Obviously, New Shepard for the moment is just going to be landing back here on Earth. How is working with a suborbital rocket helpful for your testing?
We've got a rich history of leveraging these platforms, which include not only rockets but also helicopters and aircraft and terrestrial flight platforms. We use these to go and test our integrated systems at conditions that are much closer to, the actual lunar or Mars or other landing trajectories than we can get just doing things in a lab. So that allows us to mature the systems, test them integrated together, and then, revise. We learn from these things. It allows us to revise the technologies, further improve on it, then go out and test it again and go right back to the labs.
Bigger picture, how do you see your sensor research and experiment today supporting other programs beyond the moon?
So they just kind of go back actually to the Apollo missions 50 years ago. So then they had to rely exclusively on the best processor and sensor that we have. That's the human mind and the human eye. So these LiDAR-based sensors, they're active sensors, they're able to see things that the human eye can't easily discern. For human missions, these sensors give that additional situational awareness that the human eye can't easily detect. So for robotic missions that do things fully autonomously, likewise, this gives those systems that kind of perception. And then we rely on advanced algorithms on that multi-core processing system to then detect those hazards and avoid them.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Best of luck with your experiment and your research. We are so proud to be contributing to it.
Yeah, thank you again, and best of luck to you all on the flight as well. So we're very glad to be a part of this.
What a great conversation. And to show you where this experiment is mounted on the booster, took a little tour to our high bay here in Kent.
That's right.
To check out a couple of our vehicles that are getting ready for future flights. Got a lot of hardware in there. And I wanted to show you the ring fin on top of the booster. So this is where the avionics and sensors are housed for this experiment. It's a new location for our customers that they can use to expose their experiment to the space environment. So let's take a look. Hey guys, I'm here in our Kent, Washington headquarters in our factory where we build New Shepard. And I want to talk about our exciting payload on NS-13 from the NASA Tipping Point program, the Lunar Landing Sensor demo that we're going to put on our rocket. This demonstration is really important because in order to go back to the moon to stay in a sustainable way, we need to be able to precisely land cargo and even people on the lunar surface in a specific location. So New Shepard is essentially 4 pieces. It's the crew capsule on top that holds the 6 astronauts on their way to space and back. And then the booster is about 3 big pieces. You have on top the ring fin. In the middle, the biggest part is the tank that holds the fuel. And then on the bottom is the aft portion, which houses the avionics and also the engine. This is the ring fin. It's the very top of the rocket. It sits on top of the booster, and it essentially cradles and holds that crew capsule with the astronauts. So the star of the show for NS-13 is our Lunar Landing Sensor demo. I'm going to show you where it's mounted on the rocket. So right here, this is called the fin box. This is where we'll mount the LiDAR sensors. And on the interior of the ring fin here, and on the top of the LOX tank of the booster, we have what we call the dance floor. And it's a really great location to put avionics for any type of sensor experiment you're going to do on New Shepard. So the reason that we put it on this component may or may not be obvious, but because it juts out a little bit from the rocket booster, it means that the sensors can look back down and have an unobstructed view of Earth, so they can send their signal, receive it back, and then calibrate their location. So now that you've seen the sensors, you can tell that we're basically using New Shepard to simulate landing on the moon. I think that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's a nice little tour you took us on there, Caitlin.
Thanks, it was fun.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us live today. We are now at about T-minus 12.5 minutes until New Shepard's 13th launch to space. Caitlin, this is actually the 7th launch for this booster, isn't it? And its capsule.
That's awesome. So that is a record for this vehicle. Great job, Team Blue. I mean, that is real operational reusability and work.
That's right.
All right, so let's take a look at the star of the show, New Shepard, as she gets ready to go to space. All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm hearing from Mission Control that the countdown is going really well, and we're just minutes away. So let's take a deeper look at the mission profile for today's launch. All right, a graphic from our own Joel Eby here. Nice looking graphic, Joel.
Thanks. It's got some cool lasers coming off New Shepard there.
Well, yeah, today's all about laser beams, right? All right, so you can see there that the rocket starts its flight with the capsule on top, headed to space, chock full of payloads. Near the top of the flight at about 75 kilometers, the capsule separates from the booster after main engine cutoff, or MECO. Then the capsule and booster individually continue their ascents to space. On this flight, that should take about 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And then both craft reach their apogee over 100 kilometers. Very important over the Kármán line. This is around 4 minutes into the flight. So that BE-3 engine really gets that rocket up there pretty fast. So after hitting apogee, the booster starts to make its way back to the landing pad. This is where the lunar landing demo and those lasers that you pointed out, Joel, really start to go to work, calibrating their position as it descends from space. Then we have a soft landing of the capsule in the desert right after the booster lands on the pad. So the capsule's not as aerodynamically shaped as a booster, so it comes down to land nice and soft after a stable descent under parachutes. And of course, that retro thrust system that creates that pillow of air right before landing.
That's right. All right, let's take a quick breather now, and let's just watch as New Shepard gets ready for today's launch over at the launch pad.
Beautiful. All right, everyone, welcome back, and thanks for joining us for New Shepard's flight to space today. We're getting closer now. We're at T-minus 9 minutes and 53 seconds. I think that's terminal count here. Starting to get some goosebumps. My heart's racing a little
This is when
bit.
it becomes real.
Woo. So we've been talking a lot about payloads, but we all know New Shepard was designed for human flight from the beginning. So when we combine the two, we give researchers the opportunity to fly with their own experiments. I mean, that makes perfect sense,
That's right.
And what a great way to become an astronaut with your science and research with you on board. So universities, laboratories, NASA, and international space agencies are all leaning into this. It's what we call human-tended payload research. We can't wait to fly them. And once again, Ariane Cornell, she gave us a tour of the capsule so you can see what the experience on board will be like for astronauts or researchers. So let's take a look.
Welcome, guys, to the crew capsule. As you know, the crew capsule sits on top of the booster for its flight up to space. But why don't we check out what's inside the capsule? Now let's look at some of the key features, starting with the seats, of course. So these seats are in-house designed seats based on a helicopter model. They're made through the scissor mechanism to be able to take out any extra forces, downward forces, as you come into land. The other thing that you cannot miss when you come into the crew capsule, of course, are these big, beautiful windows. These are the largest windows that have ever flown in space. In fact, over a third of the capsule are windows. 6 seats, 6 windows. Everybody gets a window seat. Next stop on the tour, the window sills. You see, anything in the capsule that's noted as blue is what you can hold onto as you're floating around the capsule up in space. Last but not least, we've kitted out the crew capsule with a lot of cameras. We want you to be able to share your memories with your loved ones for years to come. What's so wonderful about the New Shepard system is whether you're a tourist like you and me and you want to go explore the stars or see your home from space, or you're an astronaut that works for NASA or another space agency, New Shepard's going to be your ride.
Really putting Ariane to work today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Caitlin, as you know, we're actually getting really close to flying humans on New Shepard, which is very exciting. And we've been working very hard to verify the system and have just a couple more flights before we start to put humans on board.
We're getting really close, and today's flight will be another step. And to prepare also, we've been doing astronaut rehearsals and going through the motions for launch day in West Texas. And actually, Joel and I were lucky enough to be a part of these rehearsals. Really was just a trip of a lifetime. We went through all the motions and all the details of our astronauts' trip to space. And I'll never forget the feeling, just like you can see here on screen, of walking across the gantry, you know, rocket or not on the pad. Once you get up to that tower, your heart starts to beat and you just feel like you're about to go to space. And then you get in that capsule, you sit in that comfortable seat, put your harness on like you can see those astronauts doing there, and they close the hatch and it's just you and your 5 best friends on that rocket getting ready to go. And I will just never forget that feeling. I was ready to go to space.
I was ready to go as well. The most distinct memory, I think, for me was just sitting in the capsule and awaiting terminal count as you watched the mission control team and the tower crew do their final preparations. It was all just very, very real, and letting those moments really kind of sink in, and listening to the sights, listening to the sounds, and watching the sights out the window. There was something very surreal about it, and you become very contemplative as you're looking out the window and thinking about this event that you're going to go through that is really going to change your life.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we have Capcom, who we were talking to at that time.
Yeah.
They had a couple space jokes to kind of calm your nerves, which really helped. We're working on the jokes, but they were really good.
Yeah, you can talk right to mission control. They do a good job putting you at ease and keeping you connected to the mission, which was really, really good to experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, and of course, you know, just as Apollo and the shuttle inspired so many of us to explore space, we're hoping that spaceflight today inspires the future generations. And that's why Blue Origin founded our nonprofit Club for the Future, and we have a payload on board from them today. We have tens of thousands of postcards from the club from students all around the world. This is our second flight for postcards, and some of the postcards flying today even have a special Artemis stamp. So thank you, NASA. That is such a great keepsake for all of these students. And I want to do a special shout out to my nieces and nephews. So hi, Colin, hi, Kinley, hi, Fiona, hi, Bridget, hi, Cole, all future astronauts, of course. And another special shout out to Cedarhurst Elementary in Highline Public School District in Burien, Washington. Yeah, stone's throw from Joel's house. You know, before COVID, we were able to visit the school and made postcards with the students. Their ideas for the future of life in space, I have to say, were awesome, but also brilliant and smart. I mean, these students are really thinking about what will be possible in the future. And one idea I really liked was a trash collector in space. So,
Of course.
as we all know in the industry, there's lots of orbital debris up there already. So, very important. Hopefully, it's a recycling trash collector. And another one I thought was really fun was using asteroid water to fight fires on Earth. So definitely something we could have used this year, but just really innovative ideas from the students.
Yeah. I mean, these are some just really great examples of why we think Earth really needs space. And we've been asking students to think about that question. Why do you think Earth needs space when you're making your postcard? We posed this question also to some Blue Origin employees recently. And here's what they had to say.
The Club for the Future ask K through 12 students to send us postcards with their dreams of the future.
Mine says the future is only a tomorrow away because if we build the future, we have to do it a day at a time.
That's really poetic. That's really cool. We're going to send those postcards to space in New Shepard. And then we're going to bring them back and mail them back to you. Let's take a look at some of these. These are fantastic. What a great drawing. It's time to verify. Nice. That's beautiful.
Why does Earth need space?
Why does the Earth need space?
The big questions are the interesting ones. Earth has everything we need to survive and thrive as humans here, but it is getting pretty crowded.
Humans have this need for exploration. We always have. I think it's in us. It's part of us.
Earth needs space to spark innovation.
To keep Earth healthy.
For perspective.
We can learn things that can help us sustain the Earth and the people that are living here.
The mission here is, millions of people living and working in space, and that's what I wanted to contribute to.
This is me being the first woman on Moon.
And then in the background, you can see Earth, so we can wave to our families.
Some sort of spinning colony. People call them O'Neill colonies, from a book written by Professor O'Neill.
That's me working underneath there. You're gonna need space mechanics, right?
What's something that you can invent that could be used for space, but also here on Earth?
We can look back at Earth and see the beauty that we have and how lucky we are and how we need to treat the Earth and how we need to treat each other.
There are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand in all the beaches on the planet Earth.
We can have 1 trillion humans in the solar system, which means we'd have 1,000 Mozarts and 1,000 Einsteins.
Of all of the things in the universe, what you are doing matters. Reach for the stars. Thank you.
It's this generation's job to build the road to space.
All right. Well, thanks. Every time I see that video and watch the kids make their postcards, it's just really, I get a little misty-eyed.
Exactly.
And your kids are pretty great artists.
Yeah, they love to draw postcards. My daughter Rami, she loves to imagine what life is going to be like in space, and she's been kind of busy drawing some amusement parks and space colonies. It's really fun to watch.
Awesome. All you students out there, send us your postcards, and we'll send them to space on the next New Shepard flight. All right, there's our beautiful rocket there on the pad. Gorgeous day, nice clear blue skies, great for that lunar landing sensor demo. We're at T-minus 2 minutes here. I don't know about you, but my heart is starting to race. Pretty soon here, we'll start to see some of the bit checks on the rocket. Just take a look at her. She comes alive for launch. You can see those fins moving there. It's a great sign. Just like on an airplane, you test your control surfaces before you take off. That's what we do on New Shepard. In a moment, you might see the engine gimbal there, the BE3 engine. Those control surfaces are going to go to work as that booster descends from space today. There you go, you see the engine gimbaling. Powerful LOX hydrogen BE3 engine. All right, our hearts are racing over here. We're about T-minus 36 seconds. We're gonna turn it over to mission control. Godspeed, have a great flight.
T-minus 20 seconds. T-minus 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Command engine start. 2, 1.
Control is confirmed. New Shepard has cleared the tower. Check out that shot from our drone. On her way to space. Lunar landing tech on board. Payloads inside. You can see at the top right of your screen there, New Shepard's gaining speed. That BE3 engine is really doing its work. What a clean burn. First milestone here is max Q. All right, looks like the rocket has gone through max Q. That's when the aerodynamic stresses are at their maximum on the vehicle. Next up, we're looking for MECO, or main engine cutoff, just before separation. Beautiful burn on that BE3 engine. Coming up on 1,000 miles per hour. It's a quick trip to space for New Shepard. Beautiful. All right, coming up on separation after MECO here. Looking for that engine shut off. There we go. Looks like BE3 engine is shut off. Speed's decreasing now. All right, I think I see separation there. Yep, you can start to see the distinct craft in your screen. And right about now, those experiments are getting their clean micro Gs. 3 to 4 minutes of hang time, gathering some great data. And at this point, if you were flying with us, you'd be able to get out of your seat, float around the capsule, do a somersault, high five your friend, and look down at that beautiful Earth below you. That booster is starting its descent back to Earth, almost at apogee for the capsule. All right, apogee. As long as that's over the Kármán line, if you are an astronaut on board, you are now officially an astronaut, my friend. All right, now the booster's coming back down. Those sensors are really going to work as the booster makes its way back to the pad for that precise landing here in West Texas. The rocket's soon reaching the atmospheric pierce point. This is when the rocket's returning from space and entering the atmosphere. And those control surfaces on the fins are starting to have air pressure against them for the first time on its descent. And the rocket will come back and land on the pad just 2 miles north from where it took off. You can see there on the right hand of your screen that booster's gaining a lot of speed. Control surfaces really doing their job, keeping that vehicle stable. And that booster, of course, is more aerodynamically shaped than the crew capsule, which is why it will win the race back to the ground and land a few minutes before the capsule, which is great for the astronauts. They get a little more hang time up there. You can see those wedge fins keeping the rocket stable. Of course, earlier we talked about that the LiDAR sensors are right below those fins on the fin box. Soon here, we'll see the air brakes deploy. This will slow the vehicle down significantly as it makes its way down. There we go. You can see the booster's speed is slowing down rapidly here as it gets closer to the pad. You were down in Texas, you'd hear a sonic boom any second, almost knocks you off your feet. It's so exciting. All right, there go the drag brakes. Here we go, we're getting close. Now we're just waiting for that BE-3 engine to relight. There we go. All right, come on, Shepard, let's go. Wow. Look at that stability.
So stable.
Touch
Oh my God.
down, New Shepard. Here we go.
I love watching that moment, like every single time.
I'm sorry if you can hear me pounding the desk and my mic, but that never gets old to watch that rocket. It almost looks fake every single time. I'm like, Joel, that's not CGI,
It is
is
not
it?
fake. It amazes me every single time I watch a booster falling out of the sky and descending like that with such controlled precision. It's inspiring to watch.
Such control.
It's,
wow.
In this case, almost like it was landing on the moon.
Yeah, and it landed on your feather there, Joel, right on the pad.
Yeah, somehow it knows how to go back there every time.
All right, well, I hope those sensors got some good data today. You'll see in a minute the vehicle here will start to vent. And our recovery crews are going to be out there soon to safe the vehicle. 7th landing for this booster. What an awesome record.
Amazing.
every launch, I think I speak for our whole team here at Blue Origin, that you feel like you're a little part of history, being a part of this era. Oh my goodness, here we go. Here's the capsule. Looks like the mains have deployed. They're unfurling. You can see the speed on the capsule has decreased significantly with those mains out, 16 miles per hour. Now, this part of your flight, if you're an astronaut, if you've listened to some of our previous videos, you'll notice that once those mains are out and you're just in a free fall, it's just almost silent. And it's this reflective, beautiful moment. And right before the capsule lands here, a retro thrust system will fire, creating a pillow of air. The capsule lands at about 1 to 2 miles per hour, kicks up a little bit of dust. Look at those beautiful mountains. Wow, Joel, just a picture-perfect launch so far.
I love this.
And you can see the speed stabilizes about 16 miles per hour, and then we'll be at about 1 to 2. Here we go, almost touchdown. Beautiful shot from our drone there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and touchdown of the capsule. All right.
She made it back. Excellent.
Woo! Wow, we got both our craft back safely from space. Looks to have been just a fully nominal flight here, Joel.
That's right. You see those parachutes gently falling to the ground.
I'm about to fall out of my chair. Oh my gosh, wow, look at that. And you can see, that's a great view because you can see how that poof of air just disperses that dust around it, just a gentle, soft landing. I've visited these capsules a couple times after launch, and they look like they are just, they're barely disturbed.
That's right.
You know, it's just sitting there right on top of that soft desert floor.
Yep.
Wow, well, congratulations to Team Blue today. Hopefully we got some great data from our lunar sensor demo here on our booster, 7th flight for that vehicle. Hopefully all of our customers with their payloads inside the capsule are going to get some great data as well. I'm sure our recovery teams are on their way out. All right, and here's our unofficial stats from the exciting flight today. Crew capsule's apogee, awesome altitude, 351,200 feet. Max ascent velocity under that BE-3 engine, 2,232 miles per hour. Wow. Mission start time, 8:36, right on the nose. Great job, Team Blue. And mission time, 10 minutes and 15 seconds. It only takes you 10 minutes to become an astronaut, Joel.
It's kind of incredible to think about, isn't it?
Wow. Of course, we'll be looking at all this data from our lunar lander demo. I'm a little bit out of breath. This is really exciting, but it sounds like everything went well today. Perfect flight, perfect day. Looks like we almost landed down nicely in Shackleton Crater there on the moon.
Yeah, look at that. A little bit more vegetation than you'd expect.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, if you were inspired today by what you saw, if you can't tell by the excitement on our voice, we love working at Blue Origin. Everyone here does. We're all about the mission. Come join our growing team. We have locations all across the country, and we're
that you saw, and it actually features New Shepard landing on what looks like both West Texas